Hello everyone, and welcome to another wrap-up video. It is a new year, and as you can tell, you're in a new spot. I thought that this might be a little bit better for filming these, just maybe cut down on the in and out of focus. We'll see. We will see. But in saying that, I didn't actually read a huge amount this week. For those who hopefully have been following the channel, I posted a lot of stuff, a lot of very long videos this week. I posted the podcast. I posted, did I post a first impressions video? That wasn't long. But then I posted my whole videos as well, which were both over an hour, by a lot. Expectedly so, but you know. A lot of my focus was on YouTube this week. I did also manage to watch the most recent season of Haikyuu, to the top, so the second half of that season. I had only watched the first episode of the second part, which is the beginning of the particular match that Kurasano are in, against the Mia twins. And I loved it. Obviously, I'm a big Haikyuu fan. I was expecting to like it, so it didn't disappoint. It was very good. Can't wait for the next season, which will absolutely be coming. It would be nonsensical for them to stop making seasons of the show, especially as it's still so popular. I know the manga's completed now, but it's a franchise that a lot of people love, and I'm sure it makes JC Staff. Yeah, JC Staff a lot of money. But so I watched that. I read the first half of the most recent Bakuno novel, which I can't really talk about because I didn't finish it. That's volume 15. I don't even remember what it's called. Stray something, I don't know. I'll talk about it next week because I'll have finished it then. But I did, and I had planned on reading more manga. I think always you plan on reading more. But today I was like, well, I'll come home from work and then I'll read, and then it'll be lots of time before the live stream, so I'll have something to talk about. Honestly, that's kind of like how things have worked out the last couple weeks. Hey, welcome to the live stream, Arch AM, Archangel Manga, right? And pretty sure. Anyway, thank you for joining me at the live stream. But I didn't read as much. So, okay. I worked today, as I said. And so with my current weekend job, it's a very early start. I set my alarm to wake up at 5:30, which isn't actually that early for me sometimes with this job, but 5:30. And then I don't know, it's had such a weird like break between the end of the year and Christmas and New Year's and all of that I think my brain was just like hyper focused on not sleeping through an alarm, because okay, earlier in the month I slept through one of my alarms for a different appointment. It wasn't for work, thankfully, but it was for an appointment that I had to get to and I was late to. And it worked out. It didn't matter. But my brain had the fear that I would sleep through this alarm. And it was even worse because that alarm that I actually did sleep through was at like 7:30 or something. I don't know. It was weird. Something was going on. But so I went to bed with the expectation of getting up at 5:30, and then I woke up at 2 a.m. after going to bed at like 11:30, and then obviously I tried to go back to sleep, and I kept like periodically waking up before I just kind of gave up and got out of bed at 5:15. So I was very tired today. I was very proud of myself though, because I didn't take a nap, which sometimes after work, if it has been a long day, I will take a nap. especially if I have these late night live streams. Anyway, you don't care about that aspect of my life. It's fine. You don't have to worry about that. But it did mean that this afternoon that I planned to read a lot of manga and finish my novel as well, my finished Bakuno. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And so I only have 2 books to talk about. But I will say, thematically, they are very well suited to be featured together. Maybe not great for the beginning of the year. I don't know. They're not bad for the beginning of the year. I love both of these series. And it was kind of a good start for this year's manga reading. But I had wanted to read more of one particular series, especially because I pulled out 3 volumes, which are the most recent 3, but again, that just didn't end up happening. Anyway, we don't we don't care about that. But before I get into the manga, I did want to talk a little bit about. So aside from the YouTube videos and the podcast that I edited and everything else that I did this week, I have also been going through my collection. As longtime subscribers and watchers and people who have followed my videos know that I periodically go through the collection and kind of reassess the things I want to keep, the things I want to give away or sell or gift or whatever else. And I was quite rigorous this week with that. So I made the decision that I wanted to go through my collection entirely. So I went through the anime, I went through the manga, I went through my figures as well, because there's 3 or 4 of those that I'd be happy to give to a new home. They're not really franchise that I'm like absolutely hugely dedicated to or in love with. And I don't think did I pull out any art books? I don't remember. The couple of soundtrack CDs, things like that. So like a whole bunch of stuff. Whole bunch of stuff is leaving the collection. Manga, namely, is going to be, I guess this is maybe unhauling is the term that some people use. But I'll be unhauling D. Gray Man, which was kind of a surprise that I found. It had been stored up in a box for a long time in my collection, or I guess in my storage. It wasn't on the shelves proper, so rediscovering it, I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had this. And I did think about doing a reread, and I may still do that. I have 25 of the currently 26 or 27 volumes that are currently out in English, so I have quite a bit of it. But D. Gray Man was never like a hugely important series to me. I did like it, but it's one of those, I don't know, it just was interesting. The premise was interesting, the characters were interesting, but it wasn't something that was necessarily nostalgic for me. Despite watching all of the 50-something episodes initially that Funimation put out, like, I don't know, D. Gray Man's in a weird spot for me. But that one will probably be going after my reread. Cross Game is another one which I probably will be finding a new home for, just because as much as that manga is wonderful, as much as Adachi is a very influential creator and I have great respect for him, I've read it a couple times. I'm probably not going to revisit again. And so that's that. Was there anything else hugely? Hiya, welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you could make it, as always. It's hope you enjoy my rambling, whilst I'm not quite into manga yet. Prince Freya. Prince Freya is the other one that it's not that I dislike it, I will be following it digitally. It just doesn't seem to be shaping into a series that I think I have the space for. It's not even long. Like, it's 4 volumes in Japan currently. And the premise is fun. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. Not at all. But for my priorities right now, it's not one that I need physically on my shelf when I can get the same kind of enjoyment from it reading it digitally via Kindle. Well, actually, probably no Kindle, because it's a Viz book, and they're not on Bookwalker, which is a pain in the butt. But whatever. So yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, Cross Game, I haven't seen the anime for. Yeah, I haven't seen the anime for. Obviously, I read the manga. I did like that. It is the only Arachi manga that we have in English currently. And it's... I'd love to read Touch or watch Touch as well. Super duper long, so it's never going to happen. But I'm currently... Adachi has a very similar style across all of his works. They have very similar themes, very similar characters, which isn't a bad thing. Like, he's perfected the youth drama baseball series, right? Like, that is pretty much all of his series, and that's not, again, a bad thing. He's a master at what he does. And so I would like to watch it one day. And it might be one that maybe would be better in the collection as the anime versus the manga. I don't know. Well, oh, I remember the other thing. That I'm probably going to be unhauling, which may be controversial, but that is Blade of the Immortal. Not that I disliked it, not that I didn't think it was great, not that I think it's bad release. I have the not the fancy deluxe versions. I refuse to buy any of those from Dark Horse anyway. But I have the omnibus ones, the not as newish ones, and they're lovely. Like, I love them. I love the spine design. I didn't have really an issue reading them with spine wear or breakage or whatever. But again, it's probably a series that I've experienced, I enjoyed, but I'm probably not gonna come back to it anytime soon. And it wasn't like hugely impactful for me. It's a very classic storyline. I enjoyed it a lot for various reasons. I thought many of the characters were really compelling. Again, this may change, although I did just read that one more recently. I'll have to sit with that one for a while on my decision, but as of right now, it's probably on a maybe to go pile. I've heard that, but about the Arachi kind of defining generations. Obviously, Mix is the big current one right now, but I think Touch is always going to be the classic, right? Like, it's his biggest. I mean, even is it H2O? Or H2. There's another one aside from Cross Game. He's done a lot. And Mix is a sequel to Touch, I think. I don't know. I don't really remember, and I haven't watched Mix either, so I'd like to get to that one as well. But but enough about stuff I'm getting rid of, right? Instead, let's talk about some manga that I actually read this week. Not that there's a lot of it, but I did read some. So first off was Volume 6 of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Okay, so, I mean, unsurprising. G loves this. That's why she keeps buying it. Yeah. This if you haven't read this, this is the story of a high school girl who tries to summon one of her school's like mysteries, 7 mysteries, Hanako-san, which in actual like rumor, folklore, whatever in Japan is the ghost of a young girl who haunts a bathroom stall. And usually can grant a wish if you summon her. She tries to do this in order to improve her love life, but she discovers that the Hanako-san at her school is actually a boy ghost, Hanako-kun, here. And shenanigans happens. She ends up becoming his assistant after he saves her. He's not quite able to grant her wish, but now she helps him run the day-to-day, I guess, goings-on of the school from the supernatural perspective. It's wonderful, obviously. We know that G is a big supernatural, yokai, kami, ghost, mystery series fan. This is not new information, right? And this volume picks up, I mean, obviously it's following immediately after Volume 5. We finished the arc that Volume 5 had where a whole bunch of the students are kind of all of a sudden turning really old. Like they're turning to elderly people. And so Hanako and Nene, who is this high school girl, and a middle school boy who's the... Oh no. Here's oh no. Okay, well there's another character called Ko, who is a middle school boy, youngest son or second son of a exorcist family who's kind of their third part of their group, the third friend in that group. And so they're trying to fix the problem of some of the students just like turning super old and parts of the building getting super old and dilapidated. And so they go to investigate the first mystery of the school, which I don't remember the exact name of their thing. The clock keepers, apparently, of which there are 3. So the first mystery of the school are the 3 clock keepers, one who is in charge of the past, the present, and the future. And the future one has gone all wacko. She's wanting to turn everyone old. She's rambunctious. And so in the last volume, we discover that one of Nene's classmates is actually one of these clock keepers. And so he decides to help them. Obviously, he's involved. They want to kind of fix this problem before every student turns into a grandma or grandpa, right? So that closes up this story arc of in this volume. But then, okay, so we discover that there's a big revelation about... I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments whilst I'm also talking about these. I will get to the comments in 1 second. But we have a big revelation about our main character and her relationship with Hanako-kun, and ooh, it hurt, like, surprised and hurt my heart. Because the thing is with the anime, that arc, the clock keeper arc, was like skipped until the next arc, which they start in this one. And I guess it was just to wrap up certain storylines or whatever in the single season that they had. There will be a second season, so I'm sure that the stuff that is in this arc will in the prior arc, the clock keeper arc, will be introduced at some point. But unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think I forget that, because it felt like a completely new revelation for me, and I'm not that forgetful, I promise. But it was great. It was really great. If you haven't read Hanako-kun and you enjoy series that involve like monsters and supernatural creatures and ghosts and creepiness and suspense and mystery and a really cute art style, then absolutely pick up Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. I love it a lot. And the art is just beautiful. I already own this art book for the series because, of course, I did. Yeah. Hey, Bazaar. Welcome. Thank you for popping in. I hope you have a good day at work. And this won't be a super duper long one, so sorry about that. I know how much you like the longer videos. But yeah, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. This is volume 6. I think there's 13, 14 in Japan currently. I love it. I love it. And if you like this series that I'm talking about, absolutely pick this one up. And vice versa. If you like this one, pick up at least read the other series that I read this week. But this volume and the volume that I'm going to talk about next are very complementary because they have similar themes around humanity, mortality, death, the connection between the mortal and the supernatural world, and it's very, 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 very good. It's really so it's really cool to see that people are like getting into Discworld because of my streams. First of all, hi, welcome, Zach. Glad you could make it. I hope you enjoy more. I think the death books are pretty they're a pretty good starting point. I think a lot of people like Death as a character, and I think that they like sort of his books that he's involved in, or at least I don't know, because the Death books, so the Mort is the first one of that, and also the City Watch seem to be the two. Well, those two seem to be universally enjoyed. The Witches obviously are also typical. I mean, all of them are good. I'm super biased. All of them are good. But I would say that for me personally, the Unseen University books are like lower on the scale than the other ones. But we know that I still like the Unseen University ones. I do hope you enjoy more. It's a good little book. It's also not super duper long. I think it gives you a good feel for the, I guess, magical realism aspect of this fantasy world and this pretty strong satirical fantasy setting. So yeah, Discworld is wonderful. Terry Pratchett was a phenomenal writer. And if you do enjoy that book, I do hope you try others in Discworld. But it's super. A couple people have said that they've tried Discworld since I've been talking about it on these streams, and that just makes my heart feel really overwhelmed, maybe. I don't know. Discworld is a series that I've loved for many, many years. I wasn't really that aware of it, of the books at least, until about high school. So when I was about 14, 15 years old. But even when I was a small child, so I'm a 90s kid, right? But my family, my parents, every so often would tape cartoons on VHS for me from the TV, just to, replay, because we didn't have cable or fancy cartoon channels or anything like that. So one of the tapes that we had for a long time had, I don't know even if it was the entirety of the miniseries, but there's an animated special or miniseries of Mort. Was it Mort? I think it's Mort. There's an animated cartoon of Discworld about Mort, that book. It's an adaptation of Mort. And I watched that so many times when I was little. And I wasn't even aware of it at all. All I knew that was that there was like, no, it wasn't. I don't think it was Hogfather. It may have been Thief of Time. I don't remember, and it's making me upset that I don't remember. But it was part of the Mort story. It was about death, and his granddaughter. So it wasn't Mort. It was one of the later books. But I remember even now, like I have such a clear memory of his granddaughter, who's like this beautiful young woman with jet black hair, but just the white streak in the front, and the talking raven, and the death of rats, and obviously Death himself, and his horse Billy, and there was this beautiful, like, and it's probably really janky because it's an old, 90s animated special, but just of Discworld, of this, the world, the disc of the world on the back of the 4 elephants on the back of the turtles swimming through space. And there was the whole intro was that, and that was so vivid in my mind for years, like a solid decade before I was even introduced to the books. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to think that it's formative, but in a way, I was always aware of Discworld, even without knowing that it was Discworld. And so for having read so many of the books that I'd missed over the, because I only read some of them in high school and, subsequent years since, I hadn't read all of them. Being able to revisit that series in a year that was so, like, to put it lightly, stressful, crazy, chaotic. 2020 was, I'm sure, obviously, like everyone knows, was a hell of a year. And not that we're out of the woods yet with 2021, but hopefully we will try for this year to be better as a concerted societal effort. But regardless, being able to revisit and rediscover the series and reconnect with that part of my childhood that was so kind of buried in the recesses of my brain was really amazing, and something that was really a bit of solace for me in a crazy year. And I'm like, it is really cool to see that people have decided to be reading it. Since I've been talking about it. So yeah, sorry. It's just, yeah, that's kind of the coolest thing for me as someone who talks about things that I enjoy, as a content creator, I guess, like in the loosest sense of the word, right? Like I don't really create that much content. But to be able to speak passionately about the stuff that I really love, and then for people to sincerely take that recommendation or to trust me with that, and then read it, enjoy it for themselves, and tell me how much that they do, is really special. And that's something that I like. That's what makes YouTube worth it for me. I wouldn't I've said it before, but I'm the laziest YouTuber, right? Like I don't put a huge amount of effort into my filming setup or my editing or anything. My schedule is pretty lax. I'm very obviously not the most tech savvy person. And whenever I get behind or in front of the camera, I just gush with completely unedited thoughts. I never write scripts for anything. So I've always said that the moment that YouTube becomes work for me, I don't want to do YouTube anymore, because I never wanted this to be additional labor, right? It was always something fun. It was always something that I wanted to do to connect to other people who may have my same interests, my same feelings about the titles that I love, and also perhaps introduce the titles that I love to people who'd never heard of them before. Because let's be real, back when I started this channel, people weren't talking about the series that I love to talk about. And now that has changed. There's so many more incredible series being talked about. There's also so many more incredible YouTube manga to people as well, which is, and I found, friends in a community that I'm really, really happy to have. They're very valuable in my life for me. But so to have that kind of immediate feedback, especially from the live streams, because obviously these are like completely unedited content of me losing my mind and gushing and doing whatever else over the stuff that I've read. And half the time I feel like it's a little bit, there's lazy and then there's lazy. And I feel like my live streams are pretty lazy. So to hear and to get comments back about that, and especially about the Discworld books, is really cool. And thank you everyone, like all of you guys who come to hang out with me every week. It's amazing, right? It's really amazing. I think as Archangel Manga said, like, when you do make content, and you got, most of you in the chat are on YouTube people. Like, I watch your videos, I know your channels, you understand this, and it's really, there's nothing to even compare it with. The amount of, like, I feel so humbled by it, because obviously, like, I'm just a person, right? I'm not any cool, amazing, super knowledgeable person and I'm not my content isn't super unique in how it's filmed or how it's presented. It's unique in the length of it, which I think is kind of my brand at this point. But I'm just a person, and I haven't done anything worthy of being praised for my YouTube videos or anything either. Like, it's just me with the camera. So to know and to hear comments, and I would hope that everyone in the MangaTube community and the YouTube community in general recognizes that it's incredibly special. It's incredibly like, I don't know, it's just such a unique experience, and especially for me, because I was never gonna be someone famous. Like, to be able to be recognizable to a group of people, and to have people trust me, befriend me over videos on the internet is crazy. And I said it before when I had my 3,000 subscribers special, like the live stream then. But the fact that 3,000 people and now 3,500 people watch my videos is absurd. Like, it's frankly absurd. I don't know who you guys are. If you're all bots, then that's probably more understandable. But yeah, it's just really, like, it's really amazing. And I think one of the other things that's really important to remember when you are making, or when you're entering this community, when you're entering the YouTube content creation sphere, that any audience, anyone willing to put their time towards you, is worthy, whether that's 3 people or 3,000 people. And it may seem hypocritical coming from me, because I think some people see, like, a large sub count, which I'm not even, like, it's a larger channel for our niche, but it's certainly not the largest channel in our niche. It's not even close to the largest channel in smaller group within our niche. But yeah, I think people should always just be able to recognize that even one person watching you on a regular basis, or one person commenting, or one person interacting with you and finding familiarity or trust in you, or discovering things through you, is so incredibly cool, so incredibly amazing. And I don't like to have the internet be my life. Like, I don't like my online persona to be my entire life. That's the other reason why, if YouTube became work, I would just not be doing YouTube, because I have a life outside of, this screen. But it's like, there is a large anime and manga community, but it is very hard to find your people within that community in real life, especially if you're not like super in love with a lot of the popular titles, like I tend to not be. If you don't have a lot of the nostalgia for a lot of series from, the Toonami period, like I don't. So, YouTube was how I found the people that I now call very close friends. And anyway, I've talked about this too much, but it's something that's important to me. And I think with the new year, I mean, it's probably good to acknowledge that. It's good to reflect on, I mean, this year, April will be the 6th anniversary for the Simply G channel, or at least me doing manga videos on this channel. And that's crazy. Like, I never would have thought back in 2014 that I'd still be doing this. 2015 that I'd still be doing this. So, it's that time of year to, I mean, Americans have Thanksgiving and stuff, but we don't have that here. And New Year's is that, what I've always saying is to reflect on the years past and plan for the year ahead, and to be able to acknowledge the things you need to do and acknowledge the people you need to, and, take stock in your life, right? But yeah, anyway, I've said that 3 times now, but we're actually not going to keep talking about this, right? And yeah, the community is amazing. I love my friends who I've met through MangaTube. But in response to this particular comment about the Amazing Maurice, I haven't read that one. That's one of the children's books, I believe. I would love to. I think if you enjoyed, I mean, I haven't read it, so I can't really give a value statement on the Amazing Maurice and his singing rats, or whatever it is, magical rats, something about rats. But Pratchett was he had a very strong artistic voice in his works, and I think that's kind of true across the board. So whether it is Discworld, whether it's some of his short story stuff, or other, he did a lot of sci-fi stuff, sci-fi short story stuff. Good Omens is great as well if you like Neil Gaiman, which obviously was a collaboration between Gaiman and Pratchett. Yeah, there's a lot to try from his body of work, and I would think that it's I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy his stuff, because he and I'd say Bill Bryson, like, two different styles of books, but both two of my favorite authors, because they're both witty, and witty, like, very, very funny with their wit, but also incredibly scathing with their social commentary. And I don't know whether that's a product of them both being journalists in a past life, but it's something that I noticed and something that I guess I really valued from both of their works. Yeah, I think I knew that, but I haven't really gone into the children's stuff or the YA stuff either for Discworld. That's the next thing I need to kind of start with, like a Hatfull of Sky and Winter Song. Is that another one? I don't remember. I don't remember. I need to check if my library has them anyway. But yeah, Discworld is great, and maybe try and track down that animated special as well. Because I remember it being really good, but also I was 6 years old at the time, so maybe not the greatest seal of approval, but I thought it was pretty cool. I remember it being pretty cool, and I was a kid that enjoyed her cartoons, as I am an adult who enjoys her cartoons, so literally nothing's changed. But anyway, we will get to the next manga that I read. It's been 40 minutes. I've talked about one book. You can't leave me alone to do anything. So the other book that I read today, and I was rushing to read it for this video, in fact. And it's volume 20 of Origami. So I pulled this out with the expectation to read all three of these, from 20 to 22. I believe I'd already read volume 20, but it has been so long that I didn't remember any of it, which is why I pulled it out, because I knew that would be the case. Rereading it, I'm not sure if I read this one, so it's probably a good thing that I started with this. So this is the following arc. So if you've watched the Origami anime, the Arigato, the second season features Bishamon and Ebisu, and that whole story arc. We learn more about the gods. We learn more about their relationship with Shinki. Do we learn about Yasha's background? I don't know. It's been a long time. I don't remember what was in that season. Not a spoiler. Ebisu died, so I'm pretty sure it was like volume 14 volume 14 or 15, where that ended. And this is the follow-up to that, obviously. The great thing about Origami is that each arc, like, and I said this in my pickup video because I got this volume last month, is that the arcs really seamlessly transition into each other. They build off of each other very, very well. So it's hard to be like, this is the definitive ending and like beginning and ending of an arc. This is definitively like where this starts, where this finishes. These characters are gone. It's not a series where you don't see characters again. Once a character is introduced, they're sort of in the series for the rest of it. Even if they don't play that major parts. But so in the aftermath of the great war amongst the gods, YATO is trying to defeat the villain of the piece, the ultimate villain of the series, of which he has a personal connection to. And he has left his Shinki, Yukine, behind. Which, okay, so if you don't know anything about Origami, the main character is YATO, this guy here, who is a minor god who is trying to become a major god, by doing odd jobs and kind of raising money for his own shrine and things like that. At the beginning of the series, this girl, what is her name? Hiyori. She gets involved with him. Like she sees him, which humans aren't supposed to see gods. But she ends up kind of getting involved with them. He saves her. Her soul keeps slipping out of her body. Stuff happens. But so YATO is teaching her about the far shore, the other side, basically the supernatural world that kind of coexists on top of the mortal world, the quote-unquote normal world. So it's a similar idea with Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, in which Nene, the main character, another high school girl, she lives and she's like a normal mortal person, but she has this strange relationship with the otherworldly presence, and so she's kind of occupying a space between both of these worlds that really humans shouldn't be occupying whatsoever. But so YATO and Hiyori are friends, kind of, and then Yukine, are you on any of these? Yeah, he's on this one. So Yukine is a Shinki. He's YATO's Shinki. So all of the gods, major and otherwise, have, I guess, partners, servants, bound, people. So every so often, gods will take in the abandoned souls of the recently deceased and make them into their, like, partners, maybe tools, something. So typically they become the weapons or the tools of the gods. Literally, they become that. So for Yukine, who is on this cover here, this blonde boy, if it will, so he turns into a sword for YATO, and YATO's, well, each Shinki or each soul has a type of form that they can turn into. It's a sword or an item, clothing item, ranged weapon, so like a gun or what's a bow and arrow. That's the word I'm thinking of. Some turn into animals, like a steed that these gods can ride in on. Okay, cool thing in this one. So YATO's trying to defeat the bad guy, right? Who caused a lot of issues. YATO feels he's the only one who can do this. He's left his Shinki behind because he doesn't want to get Yukine involved. Yukine, meanwhile, is trying to help this other girl who is was seen as a stray Shinki. So she was taken in by like all different gods, and that's not seen as a good thing. That's a really bad thing, actually. Who again has kind of a past with YATO. I don't want to like explain too much of it. You should read and or watch this series. It is phenomenal. First of all, gotta put that out there. Everyone go read Origami. Also, Adachi Toka is a group. Well, I say it's a duo. Writer artist duo. 2 women actually, and they are phenomenal. The artwork looks like so. It's a monthly series. It was on hiatus for a long time, which is why I feel like it may not be as popular as it was when the anime was coming out. But yeah, super duper good. But speaking of Shinki, so like they could be anything, literally anything. One of the Shinki who YATO, because YATO is trying to find, not a replacement, but he's trying to find a weapon he can use to fight this evil villain without getting his actual weapon involved, because he doesn't want to inflict that on him or something. And there's a very high possibility that they may die, or YATO may die at least, in trying to, they'll be defeated in trying to kill the bad guy. But the thing about gods is that they don't die. They can never die. As long as they still have faith in them, people who believe in them, then they will reincarnate. There will just become a new generation of themselves. So Yato's going in with the expectation that he will probably die and he will probably become like a second incarnation of himself. But so one of the Shinki that he interviews is like dollar store scissors, and then he goes to visit one of the like super old gods, country gods, way out in the snow, out in the country, and one of his Shinki is like a swarm of locusts. That's cool as hell. I'm like, oh, wow. There's another, I mean, like the actual gods, like this is actual belief in the Shinto gods and the Japanese idea of kami, right? And so there's like a lightning whip or dragon or both. There's some cool stuff, right? There's a lot of action if you enjoy that, but it's about the characters. It's about how much this will break your heart. And the thing is, this volume, as I said, I read it to remind myself about what was going on in the manga before I dived into these volumes. And now my heart's going to hurt because now I remember. And so I feel like this is just going to get... Oh, so yeah. Over the last couple volumes prior to this one, we've been introduced to the idea that Shinki can't remember their past life. Not a good thing when that happens. And I have a feeling that that's going to be a theme in the next couple volumes. So needless to say, I will be reading both of these. I may just, next week when I talk about them, I may just scream. Well, not scream. Yell. Yell is the word. That yell and make inhuman noises. But that's not that out of character for the live streams. Let's be real. But it will be a good thing. I mean, it will be good in that I love it and it hurts my heart because I'm so emotionally invested. But it's gonna be a painful thing. Origami is phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend it to anyone who has not read it thus far. And if you're not wanting to invest in a 20-something ongoing series, I do recommend the anime as well. Both seasons done by Bones. The second season, I mean, the first season is good. It's solid. It's very good. Second season, absolute masterpiece. Like, actually 3 times better than the first season. And the first season was already good. Bones, as I said, so fights are beautiful. It's a great series. And that's coming from me, who loves this sort of stuff. But I mean, I am also picky about yokai, supernatural, Shinto stuff. I'm not going to just immediately say that something's good because it has a yokai in it. I do have some standards. And Origami absolutely meets and exceeds those standards. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I also wouldn't like be selling it so much if I just thought it was an okay series that I in particular was super into, but it wouldn't be good for anyone else. But yeah. That's all I read for this week. I didn't even read these. I'm just kind of presuming what may happen. I'm speculating for next week's live stream and reading. These are the 2 that I did read, and they were both wonderful. They both made me yell in real life. So as you may notice, I'm a very expressive person, perhaps is the correct word. Like, I'm very expressive in how I talk. I talk with my hands. I know this. And I'm an expressive reader. When I was in high school, I was reading a novel. Well, actually, I was in the front office awaiting an interview with some teachers. And I was reading the book that I had. It wasn't a bad thing. Like, I wasn't being sent to the principal's office for a bad thing. Long story short, I was interviewing to see if I could go overseas with the school, because there was limited places and you had to, apply and pass the interview and whatever else. And so I was with a whole bunch of my peers, a whole bunch of my student group that I wasn't really that close of friends with or anything. So I was reading my book. Was I reading Bill Bryson book? Maybe. I don't know. But I was laughing in real life. So I was reading it, and then I would just be not full out laughing, but I'd be giggling. But I was self-aware enough that I didn't want to just be laughing uncontrollably like a crazy person whilst reading. So I was trying to just contain my giggles to inside, just be giggles, not be full-on laughter like it would be if I was at home alone. And a couple of people who knew me, from classes, were like, wow, I've never seen someone actually laugh, from a book. And I said, I'm sorry, this is so funny. And, I don't know, I just am a expressive reader, was the message and the moral of that story. So reading both of these this evening/afternoon, I yelled, and then I did a kicky thing, and then I remembered that both of my hips really hurt. That's the other thing this week. I don't know what I did. I cannot walk. My hips hurt so much. I was just ow! I haven't done anything. I went to work today, but I didn't do anything unusual there. It was weird, man. So, but yeah, I got so caught up that I re-injured myself whilst reading. And then I had to set up the live stream. So this week has just been full on. And I've gone all weird and mushy in this live stream. And it's been almost an hour. So I shouldn't go on too much longer because that would be obscene, because I literally only talked about 2 books. But yeah, so it's a new year. Again, I would hope that the world's problems aren't fixed. And I don't think some problems hopefully will improve over the coming months. Some societal problems may never be fixed, but we should always be striving to do better and to improve everyone in the world's situation, just as a human thing. That's just part of being a human, I think, a good person. But so here's hoping that even if 2021 isn't, amazing off the bat, even if it isn't a magical, wonderful experience, I hope, with as much hope that I can share, that each and everyone who watches this, just in general, stays happy, stays healthy, works towards a more positive and hopeful self over 2021, and try to just do the best that you can in a frankly terrible situation. For me, this year, I am starting a new job in 10 days, which is terrifying, but also really exciting. It's kind of my dream job. And so already the year is looking up for me. But it will mean that after next week, maybe so the week after next. I probably won't be reading as much just generally because I will have a lot more at working hours throughout the week than I do currently. And I also don't know how regularly I will be able to do the live stream. I would hope that I will still be able to do it on a regular basis, weekly. I will try my absolute best, which is why I put it on late night, on a night that I usually don't have anything. But it is a Saturday night, and perhaps my social life will get better in 2021. I don't know. I'm not that much of a socially extroverted person, which may come as a surprise considering how much I just do not shut up when I'm alone in my bedroom. But I can't promise that I'll be able to do this every week. And I think that's an all right thing to presume. I am an adult, surprisingly. So yeah, I will be changing. My life is changing in the coming weeks. How much that will impact the channel and YouTube and the things I do here on a regular basis, I don't know. I perhaps will be more consistent because I will have to keep a schedule as to when I film things, and so when I can post things, it will be more on time. Maybe. I don't know. But I think we'll just have to all go through that process together to a certain extent, and I apologize in advance if things get hectic and crazy. But I will do my best. Otherwise, yeah, that's I think everything for this video. I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. I hope everyone had a safe and responsible New Year's. Socially distanced New Year's if you're in a place that still has to or should still be socially distancing. We've put up here, we have, I think, 13 active cases, all in quarantine, all from incoming travelers. So I'm very fortunate in that I'm not in an area that really has to worry about COVID, but we've reinstated hard borders with multiple eastern states because they do not have their COVID situation under control. They keep thinking that they do, and then they open up, and then it just gets worse again. And I'm like, you are idiots. This last time, they're like, oh well, we should lighten restrictions for the holiday season for Christmas. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's really stupid. And then who could have guessed? COVID flare-up for Christmas. Yay! Yeah, but yeah, very fortunate that I'm living where I am, that I'm in the position that I am. And I hope that everyone is staying happy, healthy, and safe where they are. Thanks, Zach. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And glad that you could make it to the live stream as it was ongoing this week. It is nice to see. Oh my goodness, there's so many people in the chat saying Happy New Year and good luck. And thank you guys so much for that. Hi, Tay. Thank you for your good wishes and your well wishes. I hope you had a wonderful New Year. And Archangel Manga and 365 Yaoi or 801. I'm going to go to bed now because it is 11 p.m. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, I didn't have that great of a sleep. Although I say that, I'm probably going to sit down and then read more Origami. Let's be honest. But yeah, I really appreciate you all who come to hang out with me. I'm sorry that I didn't have a huge amount of manga to talk about this week. I didn't have any novels or anything to talk about. But I still got an hour's worth of content out there. And so maybe it was worth it after all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video. Bye till then.